the Polyglot Gathering is brought to you by italki. Become fluent in any language.
Okay, everybody, I have something I'd like to talk to you about to wrap up this wonderful weekend we've all been having. Alright? So, you've all got a seat, you've all got a standing place, that's great. And you may have noticed in the online schedule, I was very mysterious. I was saying that I wanted to announce my top secret project! But it's only kind of secret, you know? It's not fully secret because I kind of made it into printed brochure, it's kind of online a little bit, but I'm gonna try and tell you a little bit about this. So, it's a big announcement, something I've been working on very much. And I want to know, what do you think happens when you combine three things that you may know in language learning? Teach yourself, one of our favorite courses. italki, one of our favorite resources to get to Skype lessons with people from around the world, and me. So, when you combine all of these, you get Teach Yourself Language Hacking. So I am publishing the next series of Teach Yourself courses. See there's the Spanish and the Italian page and the German and French. We're starting with 4 languages, but you'll be happy to hear that we're going to be going to some interesting languages, I'm sure, from there. So, today I want to talk to you about that kind of behind-the-scenes experience of creating a Teach Yourself course and how I came into that, me of all people. So, why language hacking? Why was that kind of thrown into it? Why did I decide it would be a good idea to merge with the Teach Yourself brand in this way? So, the first thing is, I don't think I'd necessarily be the first person a lot of people might think about when it comes to designing a course. This is a real sign, by the way. They had this in New York to welcome us back in 1918. True story. So I didn't actually for a long time, I'm sure I've written this on the blog, that I didn't really ever have plans to write a course. Because my background, I like encouraging language learners. I've written a book about the process of language learning. I've written some books with tips about particular languages, never course style. And I give speeches to encourage people to learn languages. But there's some kind of technical coursey thingies, you know. I'm not that great with words. Technical coursey thingies that I don't think I'm as good at to do by myself. So, I don't have any degree in linguistics. I've got a background in engineering. That's not the best start, because if you look at most language courses, they are designed by linguists. People with masters or PhDs in linguistics. I don't have any course making experience. Now, you've got to start somewhere. I didn't have any blog writing or book writing experience, but I tried it and I got better. And I think that's something that we should all endeavor for. We should always try to start something new and get better and better at it. But the problem is, that would mean if I tried to make a first course by myself, then it would have to be an okay course with later ones being better, because I wouldn't have had the experience. And of course, there's the whole kind of, how are we going to make this thing work? Embrace mistakes. Be an imperfectionist. That doesn't really jive with a lot of ideas we'd have of courses, that it's all about teaching someone the correct use of a language. That if it's a course in the academic sense, then you can't tell someone, oh, make 200 mistakes a day, because that doesn't work when the exam comes, you know? So how are you going to put these two things together? Well, at the same time, I was thinking that I have used a lot of courses over the years. And I always kind of feel that beginner courses are missing things that I need, that I've had to make by myself. Now, I'm not criticizing courses in general, because once I get to a B1 level, I use all of these courses that give me the exercises I need And the examples and lists of words that I can study are a very systematic approach. This is, I always tell people, it's how I learn language from level B1 upwards. But the level A1 and A2, it's different. I feel like I need to get my hands dirty. I need to be speaking the language. And I always wish, every time I start a project, I wish that they would work in that A1, A2 stage for spoken situations that you have in socializing. You know, you'll have a lot of courses that'll give you some touristy vocabulary, you know, some phrases you can learn, like a lot of phrase books do that, but not really getting to know people. And that's what the theme of my travels were, was just trying to make new friends. But I never really got that from a course. I had to kind of combine a beginner's course with my own learning strategies. The course would never give me permission to make mistakes. It would always go through these rules very systematically, and I would feel, as I'm looking at it, like if I don't remember these 18 to 40 combinations of das, and like, how does that work? I would feel like if I get that wrong, then people are going to laugh at me. I've been a beginner a lot. You know, that's the thing when you learn a lot of languages. It's not about do you get them all necessarily up to the highest level, because if you've started the language, you are a beginner in that language, and you do start to realize what you wish wouldn't be as prominent. And for me, it was that kind of bit of a discouragement. I would feel genuinely like every time I started a new course, my language course, its purpose was to tell me how hard the language was. You know? It was like, the language is hard because it has nominative and accusative and dative. You know? I don't want to hear that. I personally, I don't have the background of appreciating languages in that way. I just want to get into using it. And there are a lot of people who think similarly. I wanted to try to help them. And of course, they don't tend to focus on my actual use of the language. I'm using the language not to go on a business trip. Like, I would find some courses that would teach me how to say, my grandchildren are hungry today. You know? And these kind of generic things that wouldn't really help me very much in my travels. And even when I'm not traveling, ultimately, I'm using the language on Skype. I want to say things like, my connection's bad today. You know? No beginner course ever taught me that. I want to be talking about these kind of things that's relevant to my situation. That's actually something that has become very relevant to many people today. Whether you use Google Plus or any other tool to connect with someone, you are going to need to talk about that kind of technology side of things. You know, you're not going to want to ask for directions. Where's the nearest bank? You're going to want to say things like, how's the weather there today? What time is it now? You know, these are things I needed to know, and I never really got a course that would do that. And of course, the big one. This is one reason why I thought I just have to give up, and a beginner course is just not going to have this aspect to it. Speak from day one, human interaction. You are, after all, getting a book that will teach you facts that you'll consume, and then maybe separately you use a different system to get that human aspect. So that's kind of what I figured, that just don't go together very well. And there's all these other things. I found like the whole kind of teaching you the grammar, the whole philosophy I feel in a lot of courses, which works very well when you're at the B levels, but at the A levels, is that they teach you in order of difficulty, which kind of, it's logical. You know, you want to start with something easy and work your way up, and kind of systematically fill in the gaps and build a nice big pyramid of knowledge. But that's kind of an idealized version of the world. As I've tried to be a beginner on many occasions, I found that it's not that simple. Sometimes I might want to use an advanced phrase even though I don't know the subjunctive. Maybe I just want to learn that phrase, use it a little bit earlier. So it's not necessary to understand that phrase. I just need to use it because it's practical, if it's practical at the very beginning stages. So that's something else that was missing. And then what about how people just naturally speak? Like in English, we say, I don't know. In French, you say, je sais pas. In Spanish, when you're writing a text message, you tend to use the arroba when you want to compare a masculine and feminine. And I don't really see that in any courses. And this is how people actually generally write when they text, because that's how a lot of us do most of our writing. We don't do our writing to propose essays or to write job applications. We will do that, I'm sure. But most of your writing is text messages, quick little things on Facebook. And I figured, I don't want to discourage people from writing necessarily, but if I do writing, I want to do it in that way that I genuinely will use. And of course, focusing on the results. You don't need to be 100% academically sound. It doesn't have to be like, I'll give this rule, and then there's this one little exception that works, just a couple of times once in a while. Who cares? You learn about it later, And that attitude is very difficult to find in a course because it has to be 100% tight. So that's great for the course, because the course can make that claim and say, we've got no inaccuracies or anything. But as a learner, you just sometimes want to know what works most of the time. So try to take all of that in mind, and I combined that with, of course, Teach Yourself. I took their course structure that I have genuinely been using in all levels of my language learning, and I combined it with italki. So what I would do is instead of chapter, it's each mission. So the book is split up into missions where the whole purpose is you are going to speak with a human being. And the book is linked to a website and a community that gets you speaking. italki have worked with us on this to make a special part of their site with teachers who are going to be familiar with the course and who'll be able to help people who are going through it a little bit more than other teachers might be able to help them. So we're doing all of this in conjunction so that people can start their course, learn in a standard course way. You have your dialogue followed by questions. So you have the things you expect from a course, things that have been proven over the long term to work. This is why Teach Yourself have been in business so long. They know how to make courses. I just wanted to kind of steer them in a different direction, Okay, so my italki, this one, no-brainer. I don't even need to give reasons for that. It's the site with that we all have used probably the most to connect with native speakers. So I really wanted to have them in this partnership, But then why Teach Yourself? Well, there's a bunch of reasons. You got a wide scope of languages. So I'm starting with 4 big languages that, are marketable languages: French, German, Italian, and Spanish. But the great thing is, after we start that and we get ourselves established, then we can branch out in interesting directions. There's so many different possibilities. We got an email the other day about the Irish bookstores had just been announced that this is out, and they were like, oh my god, can Benny do a language hacking Irish? And I was like, that sounds great, So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And then of course, I want to be working with other people to go on to languages that I don't know very well. I want to be getting onto maybe language hacking Welsh, language hacking Polish, all these things that others can kind of come together and combine our knowledge. And this is why I wanted this to be so unique. It's not about one perfect system, it's a combination of the best of different systems. Okay? And of course, Teach Yourself isn't just those Teach Yourself books. It is a branch of John Murray Learning, which also do Michelle Thomas. So these guys really know their language learning. They got 2 of those brands. They go further beyond that, and they have actually published Charles Darwin's Theory of Evolution. When I went to their headquarters, they have the Darwin Room. This is a picture I took. These are the classic Teach Yourself books. Some of you may recognize the covers. They actually have these stored in a special room called the Darwin Room. And the idea of working with a publisher like this, that has that kind of a history of educating people, that for me was just, I had to say yes. And of course, I've been using Teach Yourself since the very beginning. I've been saying all the time on my blog, this is one of my first courses that I get to use. Okay, so a little quick timeline. How did this whole thing happen? Well, I got contacted by the publisher. If you guys have ever heard of Coursera, they had a how to learn. One day the organizer kind of emailed me and said, "Hey Benny, can I do a quick video with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And I think I was kind of grumpy that day, so I was kind of angry looking on the video. But I was like, yeah, speak from day one, and anyone could do it, and, you know, that kind of thing. I didn't realise that this was the biggest Coursera course ever, and it gets like millions of people checking it out once every 3 months when the whole cycle starts over again. So they liked my video so much they put it as one of the first ones. So a lot of people ended up seeing that. I'm thinking, wow, I really need to redo this video, kind of look chirpy and happy, you know? And it turned out one of the people who saw that worked at the publisher. And she had kind of heard of me in the past, but then she saw the video and she saw how passionate I was about my message. I'm probably kind of drained from trying to say it over and over again, come on, why don't people get it? It's Speak from Day One, come on. And she liked that. She liked the passion I had in it, and she decided she wanted to work with me on this course. So that's how it started. Then there was the contract. So have you guys, anyone recognize who this guy is? Anyone know? Anyone read the book The Martian? Or watch the movie The Martian? So The Martian was international best-selling book, blockbuster, and this guy has the same agent that I had for the book. This agent has worked on a lot of things over the years, and he told me that this contract was the most complicated contract he had ever seen in his entire career. It was like long and extremely detailed and all over the place, and I didn't understand it, so it took us like months and months and months to go through that, discussing all of the ways that we'd be moving forward. So that took a while, and then a year ago I came here to the Polyglot gathering. And this was about the point when we had decided what we were going to do, and we were going to move forward. And from the Polyglot gathering, I went on to talk with the publisher to decide how it was going to go. And we did that in Paris, where I did this other thing. You know, I like to keep myself busy. When I proposed, I was like, I promise you a life of happiness and relaxing and beaches and holidays. No. A whole year of working a lot. I kind of in the back of my mind figured, oh yeah, writing 4 books in a year or something, that should be fun, be easy. But no, it's extremely complicated, especially the level of detail that courses require. It's made me appreciate the background to all of these courses we take for granted. That I was very, very much amazed at how much goes into all of this. So how hard were we all working? I actually injured my arm. I had to go to physical therapy from typing too much. Yes, so that's one thing. I got like, inbox 50,000 ransomware wiped my entire hard drive because I was trying to install a version of Adobe that would work with the publisher's editors, and I regretted that one, I can tell you. And I moved to New York, which is an expensive city that I haven't explored yet. I was going to run a marathon last year. I had to cancel that. I've had a total of 6 days off since November. So I've been working extremely hard. But it is necessary if you want to get something like this done. I've talked in the past about focus. You want to get something done, you got to focus on it. So the last 365 days, my focus has been this course. And I'm not the only one who's been working hard on this. There's been the team behind Fluent in 3 months. We actually have like over a dozen people working on the blog all the time. They were fantastic in keeping everything alive. You know, replying to people, making sure that a constant amount of blog posts are going out, keeping things interesting. Redesigning. These guys were amazing with it because I wasn't able to focus on the blog. I'm so happy to get back into it. That's why you would have seen last week I finally uploaded the YouTube video again. It's been taking me so long. But the one who probably worked the hardest, harder than me, is Lauren. I don't know if you guys know, she has, when I met her, she was halfway through a PhD in rhetoric. So advanced English with a very good academic background, having been a teacher at university. So I feel like she's my Pepper Potts to my Iron Man. I come in and I'm like shooting and like craziness, and she comes in with her clipboard and she kind of makes everything make sense, you know? So she has been working harder than I have. And it's like, I'm just amazed. Like, her name should probably be on the cover, but, you know, for branding purposes, they're going to use my name. Okay. So, very quickly, the writing process, we had lots of scribbles that they'd send me all the time. Then this was the first version that we came up with. And it was so boring, oh my god. But, that's the thing, there's a lot of to and fro, up and down. So it evolved, it got better, and we had lots of comments all over the place. I know how to use every feature of Adobe PDF, and I hate that program so much. So you've got all of these things constantly trying to make it a little bit better, a little bit better. A lot of people adding their voice to things like I would never be able to do. Design features, or what other learners would be thinking. That's another reason it was great to have Lauren on the case, because as a monolingual, she was actually perfect as a test dummy. I would write out something thinking, oh, this is great, and she'd say, that doesn't make any sense. You know, because she was new to the language, which was fantastic because that was the target audience. So I was getting constant feedback and eventually getting better and better, and we have something a little bit nicer, you know? So that's part of the process. This is one of the pages. And then they showed me this design, the drawing, and I was like, no, I don't like that. Those people look like stick figures. They look like they were being starved to death or something. No, I can't have any of that. So we kept on going. And it's been very interesting, the to and fro, and I can kind of be influencing it as much as I like. Here we go. Okay, and ultimately we ended up more in this direction. I love how it's looking now. We've got your expected dialogue and your questions, and then the chance for me to say what I want to say was in these like side comments. I would just come in here in this kind of handwriting comment and say, hey, don't worry about that, guys, it's okay. You know, or in a more practical way, obviously. But it was a chance for me to kind of have the core course do what it had to do, and throw in some of my advice. And then each mission had a hack. So your hack is about acquiring vocabulary quicker, you know, using things like mnemonics. All of these things that a lot of us have applied. I wanted to get that into the course, because a lot of courses don't do that. That's why it's language hacking. I wanted to give people shortcuts, not just the course, but how to kind of get through the course faster. Then there's the online community that's going to work with italki, and I'm so pleased about this. This is like built into the book, that we're going to push people in that direction, get them online, you know, and get them speaking to one another, and get them interacting, because that was what this was all about for me. Okay. So that is what I wanted to say in a nutshell. I wanted to make sure this time, because last time I gave like 5 minutes for questions, I want to make sure I have lots of time for questions. So, what you guys got for me? Thank you.
No, it's on.
Hey, good to see you again.
How you doing?
And this isn't really a question, but I just want to say that I think combining it with the community like italki is just brilliant. And I wish you the best luck with this, and I hope it goes through the roof.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I'll pass it to the next person who has a question.
Wow.
How do you intend on connecting the two? Would it say in the book, like, discuss with your native speaker this, and that?
Yeah,
Or-
so like ultimately what we're trying to do is get people into the community first, and the goal isn't to kind of overwhelm them by saying discuss with your native speaker. I feel like for me as a beginner, if I was like from the very start of the book, I was like, okay, get out there and start speaking to natives. Where kind of the goal is by the end of the course, you'll be able to have that first full conversation, even if it's just 10 minutes, you know? So what we usually do is we try to get them to do something. And this is something that I've actually been testing a lot. There's like when people sign up to my email list, we get them to ultimately upload a video of them just talking for like 10 seconds. And we have thousands and thousands and thousands of video uploads to the one thread, and that is fantastic because it shows people all trying to do the same thing. And it's very simple. Baby step. It's just upload a video where you say, "My name is Benny, nice to meet you, bye." That's it. You know? I don't say, like, explain your opinion on Kantian epistemology from a 17th century perspective. You know? Just say these three things. That is a doable thing, and that's kind of what I start with. So we start with that, then they start interacting, like other people upload videos, they try to write a comment in the language. And the goal is never to write to get your spelling correct. That's not something we try to force in the course, especially because one great thing about this, like one disadvantage about a print course, is that all these new things keep coming out that I can't put in the print course, you know? But because we got a website tied to it, I can say things like, "Oh, there's this new browser plugin that will check your French sentences and correct them for you," you know? So stuff like that we can kind of integrate, but we get them started by like replying a little bit, like getting into it slowly but still using their language, speaking with other people, and then interacting with other people on a small basis, and then by the end of the book they're ready to have a conversation with somebody. Okay? And yes.
Are you at liberty to talk about what other languages will be released in the program?
At the moment, I genuinely don't know, because what we're doing is we're focusing on these 4 languages, and then after that we're going to like confirm all of the other ones. We're going to see what the interest is, and if someone wants to work with me. Actually, I did forget to say that I have a big thanks to Judith. Judith was fantastic. I was kind of very busy by the time we were getting into the depths of German, and I felt like I needed a hand. There was like something missing that I was trying. I needed someone else in the community, and Judith came in and gave me a huge help with that. So thank you very much, Judith. And I kind of thinking in the other languages, people can come in and help me out, you know, and I'll make sure you get credit and everything. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is I want to get into other languages, but we're not going to confirm anything until after the books have been published.
And when is it?
They're going to be published in September. Early September in the UK, late September then in the US. And it's like an international publication, so it's very rare that like different publishers actually collaborate on the same project. It's crazy. When I was visiting the publisher in the US, I think they actually published Stephen King's books as well, and they showed me their list of priorities for the year, and they said language hacking was at the same level as Stephen King. So that's like in terms of marketing, and they told me they got this crazy idea to get me on the Conan O'Brien show. They're going to get me to wear a wig like his head, and then I'm going to walk in and try to pretend like I'm interviewing people in different languages, and that's going to be their pitch video. So they're amazing. They got so many crazy ideas, which is great, because that's what I want to kind of use the fact that I don't feel shy in front of the camera. I want to use that to try and get some interest for people to learn languages. Okay?
Hey, just first of all, thank you so much for everything. You were the first person to really inspire me to get into this, and the reason I'm here, so it really has changed my life and made me who I am today, and it's so inspiring, especially to see that this will now go to such a big audience. I'm really excited that now your ideas combined with italki, combined with a language course, is just such a fantastic mixture.
Thank you.
I was wondering just when it would be published, of course, and then what has been your favorite thing doing this, and your least favorite, aside from just physically the ridiculous amount of work? So, yeah, what has your experience been doing something so new in this? Yeah,
it's all been very new. I think the frustrating thing I didn't actually show was I had to adapt. I've told a few people here this weekend. I had to adapt an Uberman sleeping schedule. If you guys have ever heard of that, essentially, most of the time we sleep like 8 hours, 7 hours a day. I'm lucky enough that I can get by on 5 hours sleep as long as I have a little power nap in the afternoon. For long periods of time during this project, I was working off 2 hours sleep a night, and that was trying to like sprinkle it through power naps in the whole day. That was incredibly frustrating. And I think one of the good things is that we did have a lot of people helping us to move things forward. But then one of the bad things is too many chefs spoil the broth or whatever it is. And we had one person who might come in and say, oh, this is totally incorrect. We would never, never, ever do that in written German. And I'm like, this isn't a course in written German. So like we would have to kind of explain the philosophies, because it's a hard thing to get, you know? Because they would bring in people who've been working on courses for decades. So they're extremely clever people. But this is a very kind of strange idea to wrap your head around. So that was kind of a frustrating thing. And you asked something else, or was that it?
Just pluses and minuses, really.
Yeah, and then the pluses has been the reactions I've been getting already. So, like I said, like just a couple of days, the Irish bookstores were asking me about language hacking Irish, which just sounds so exciting to me, you know. And just hearing that Australia, the publisher there, usually the way it works with publishers, so for instance, with Fluent in 3 months, I got great support in the UK. I got like you know, they helped me with media, they helped me with the book tour. I got very little support in the US. I had to arrange that all myself. And then when I went to Australia, they kind of made a few calls for me, but I still had to arrange it myself. So I had to carry it all myself. I had to like pay for the book tour myself, pay for all my accommodation and everything. But this time, we have individual publishers in each country who are going to actively be promoting this. And they told me that they think they can get airport placement. That, for a book to get promoted, like when your book's in an airport, it's a very special thing. It doesn't get in an airport just because it's best-selling. There has to be a special contract. And the airport is the best place for it. You know, I want people to be thinking, I'm going to the country. They may be thinking like I was thinking when I first went to Spain. Oh yeah, I'll just arrive and magically speak Spanish, you know, and then end up in the English communities and learn nothing. So I really wanted to get through. And we're going to do it in other languages. So they're going to combine with foreign publishers. One of the very first ones I know we're going to be doing is language hacking English. And we're going to be translating that to other languages, because that's another passion of mine. I've met so many people in my travels who really wanted to learn English, and I've talked to them in their language, and they just know it's for their career. They want to be able to travel as well. And that for me is really exciting, the idea of the course getting translated. And I will get to work with the translators, because it's going to be very interesting. We're not just going to do a copy-paste translate, because there's so many things that don't work. A lot of this book that I've written is heavily biased on the fact that the reader is a native English speaker. You know, like the mnemonics are like based off like what you would first think of a word when it comes to your mind in English. So a lot of things would need to change. But I find that really exciting. So there's the pluses and the minuses. It's been so much work, but like we're ready to get out there. And you asked about the pub days. I said before, it's early and late September. And I'll be doing the whole tour. I'll be seeing as many of you guys as I can. Okay? And Leia.
Someone steps in a library, the person finds the paperback, and then is it MP3 or access to media online?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so rather than make the books with CDs, because who the hell has CD players anymore? You know? Like, what's a CD? So what we're doing is we have the online site, and you have completely free access to all of the MP3s that are in the course, and you have free access to other stuff, like we're going to put up videos and whatever, and then we're just going to tell people if you want to sign up, because that'll encourage them to get into the community and start interacting with people. So once they like just log on, create a log on, they'll be able to do other things that I've seen other sites do. I'm going to try and take some inspiration, like maybe we're going to create a feature where they can slow the speed down, or you know, maybe export it to Anki, things like that. We're kind of looking into how we can make sure that the phrases, the vocabulary are Anki based, because I want to do things with this community. That's another thing that a big scale course hasn't done, things that this community knows works. There's no big scale course that has really used Anki. They might have created their own version of spaced repetition, but we're like, that's the one we use, why not just make it compatible with that? So these are kind of things we're going to think of. But with the sounds, They're all just MP3s at a particular URL that you will download immediately. Yes? Where's the microphone? Oh, did somebody else have a question first? Well, okay.
Any information about the price?
I think it's like $15 or £15. It's something along those lines. So I don't know how much like exactly it is. One thing that we had to work very, very hard on was to get the page count down, because obviously I didn't want it to be expensive. Here's the crazy thing: as an author, you want the price to be as low as possible. So, like, whenever there was like a sale of my book Fluent in 3 months on Amazon for like $1, I was like, oh my god, everyone go buy it right now. Because the like relationship and the contract is that we get a fixed amount. It's like 10% per book. It's like nothing. You don't get into writing books to make money, you know. But you do get into it because you get to get through to a lot of people. So I feel like the $15, it's a good price. You know, a lot of the other like the courses that I'm holding here, I think they're maybe like what, €60 or €100 or something like that. So we try to make it nice and small. We work very, very hard to make sure it fit in the book. The first version of the German edition was like way too long, because like there were too many over explanations. Like, oh no, I'm gonna scrap all of that. Get that all out of here. So we got it down to the right number of pages, which brought the price to the right point. So I was trying desperately to get that price down. Yes,
it's me. Yes. So first, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And second, I'm really curious about behind work on author rights and piracy, and how you're going to feel if somebody is going to pirate your book, and actually what was done about whatever blah 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 stuff.
Actually, on that point, do you want to hear something pretty hilarious? When I was sending my pitch to the publisher to tell them, you know, oh, this is who I am, and I've done these, and I've had these achievements. One of the things on my list, and I say this like it's kind of a mixture of a good thing and a bad thing, is that our Fluent in 3 months was the second most pirated book on Pirate Bay in 2015. And I'm like, yeah. You know, like I said, I'm not doing this for the money, so like it sucks because like that's not, I didn't do it to get it on Pirate Bay, but I'm hoping that it's not going to happen with this book, and that if it happens, then I'm going to tell people, no, don't you do that. Piracy is bad.
I think the publishers want you to be against
Yeah, I'm against piracy. I thought that was clear.
Yeah.
For the record, Benny Lewis is completely against piracy. And don't do drugs, kids. Yeah. Okay, and yes.
So thank you very much. It's a great idea. The book will be for A1, A2 level.
Yes. Okay. I made sure to focus on absolute beginners.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Saluto, ĉu vi planas prezenti tion libron dum la sekonda poliglota konferenco en Grekio, kaj ĉu vi havus specialan oferton por nia komunumo?
Certe, mi havus specialan ofertojn, sed mi skribos pri ilin en mia blogo. Do mi diros se vi estas instruisto, eble mi donos senpagan libron al vi, se vi aĉetos kelkajn librojn. Mi scias ke eble mi prelegos pri ĝi en Kanadio, ke dum la polyglota afero kiu symposium mio. Mi ancora ne scias, ĉar Grekio tio okazos en novembro, oktobro. Fine de oktobro. Do la libro jam estos publikita. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, then, okay. So thank you very much for coming, everybody. I'm very appreciative that you listened to me out. And if you want any more information, go to the easy link languagehacking.com. You can get a copy there, share it with your friends, please, if they're learning languages. Because if it does well, then I will be able to get signed on to all of the other languages that we can encourage people to learn, you know? So thanks for coming, everybody, and see you next time.